Hello, and welcome to Spotlight, where the art is fresh and the artists are fresher. If this is the first time that you're tuning into Spotlight, then sit tight, grab yourself a few drinks, snacks, chai, pakode, and whatever it is that you like. Because here I'm going to be talking to a lot of artists from around Mumbai about themselves, about their art, about why did they start doing what they're doing, and a lot of more interesting things. It's going to be like a podcast web series, and you're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get started. Hi Yash, welcome to BOT Spotlight. Very glad to see you after such a long time. Um, Tell me, how has lockdown been? What have you been up to?
Uh, it's not been so long since I've it's only been 3 years since I've been in Mumbai now. I was like for the most of it I was in Kerala,
Hmm.
but it has been good. I've learned a little bit of the ukulele. My lectures have now started. I'm currently working on a short story. It'll probably be stretched out to a novella, but so far everything is going good.
It's going good. So has the lockdown
Yeah,
helped you like just get more time to write and work on your art?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I could have just like sat around lazed, but it's weird. It's gotten me more productive, and it's really nice.
I think you're among the very tiny majority of people who will say that, minority of people who would say that lockdown has made them productive, because lockdown has
Yeah,
just made me a bigger procrastinator. Not that I was not one before. I'm just like, I just keep pushing everything out and not doing it.
I mean, I procrastinate too, but all the bad stuff, happily.
Meaning,
As in, I'm probably procrastinating on procrastinating. So that's good.
that's a good thing. Double
Yeah.
procrastination is good. So, can you maybe walk me through the process of you writing a piece? Or, like you said, you're currently working on a novella, which might turn out to be
Yeah.
a novella. Just what's your general process of coming up with something?
Uh, Mostly it's just me figuring out something. I just get an epiphany sometimes, just random thoughts that cross my mind. And I think with some of these pieces, uh, I I did uh, in April I did a writing prompt, uh, which is like for a month long you just write stuff, and that has really gotten me more uh, productive in in the case of creativity, considering if you do something for a really long time it brings you into that sort of a space where you can just like keep writing. And with me is just that if I get an idea, I'll just pen down whatever I can as fast as I can, and then if I have to make revisions I can do it later. And with this short story it was more like a dream. Not really a dream, but I remember just like it happened like really recent, and I remember waking up in cold sweat at like 3 a.m. and I was like, what? And then I saw my mom was bewildered by at I was like 3:30 a.m. I was just like scribbling down stuff, and
Yeah.
it was very weird. Yeah, I just woke up. I make it a point to have this by my side when I
Hmm.
sleep. So I just had an idea. I just wrote it down, and I was like, "Yeah, this could be nice. I could work on this." And so far, I have been working on it. It's nice.
Does it ever happen that you like wake up in the middle of the night with like an idea and you really want to go back to sleep? Because there are some times when you just want to sleep, like not think of anything and just sleep. But because you said that your process is that every time a thought comes, you have to write it down. So then, are you like conflicted? Ki abhi kya karu? Should I just go back to sleep and write it next morning?
it's a real hassle because I have to think, is this thought worth my sleep? Like, or the lack of it. Because I'm like,
Doing that
if this
calculation in your sleep.
yeah, and if this doesn't turn out to be good, is it going to be worth it? It's that's the question I have to ask myself at like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep until 5 a.m. I was just thinking about it. I was like, yeah, this is how I'll do it. This is the devices that I'll use, and it's difficult going back to sleep after such a good thought. It's difficult, and I have it has cost me a lot. But
So your
if you can
art
see
is
this
worth your sleep.
scribbling,
Oh, you literally scribble when you said scribble.
yeah, it's scribbling.
Yeah, but all of them have turned out, most of them have turned out to be worth it.
That's okay. Yeah.
So your art is worth your sleep. That's a good title for this video. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, I noticed nail paint. I really, really like your nail paint.
Yeah.
I've also noticed that all of your pieces are unabashedly you. Like you have, I don't exactly remember, but about a few open mics ago, you had written a piece on love and sex, if I'm not wrong, something related
Mhm.
to that. And I
Yeah. Yeah.
remember just listening to you and being in complete awe, just because of the fact that I haven't come across too many people who are so comfortable with talking about topics that are supposedly taboo in our society. And I love that about you. Like never once have I felt like you have a facade or that you're dropping a part of you to be able to put out a piece. And I think I appreciate that about you a lot. Um, I love
And
that your pieces are you. So you also mentioned that in April you did like this prompt month. Can you elaborate? And does it happen very often? And how has just writing helped you through the lockdown?
it's God, I forgot what it was called. Yeah, it's called Napofima, which is National Poetry Writing Month. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a thing on. It's mostly on Instagram, and I think Miraki or something. I don't know what Miraki is called now. It was back then called Miraki, but this happens. Someone people just randomly put out prompts. There is an official prompt site,
Hmm.
and then there are these subsidiary prompt sites that give you prompts for the day.
Okay.
So every day you write one poem, and you post it. It doesn't matter if you have edited it, if you had time to revise it or something. You just have to post every day.
Huh.
That's the goal of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it helps in being productive. It also helps, it's that sort of goal setting that sort of gets you through the week, through the month. It's like if you keep doing it every single day,
Hmm.
you sort of up your creative intake. You sort of keeping on, working for it. That sort of people don't consider that writing as a labor.
But isn't that
They're
more
like, "Oh,
difficult?
it is difficult. That's the thing, and
Exactly.
to think of every single day to think of something to write. Like a
Yeah.
prompt is just a word. I have like 500 word like poems written on one word. That was the prompt, and it doesn't concern the word at all. It's just the word is just thrown in. I just wanted to write what I wanted to write. The word becomes secondary. It's just thought that counts. Most of the times, what happens is that when I'm writing stuff,
Hmm.
and consider there's one prompt, and I'm writing a poem that's like 200 words or something.
Hmm.
I write 200 words poem, and then when I'm skimming through it or when I'm reading it, just for my own personal pleasure, or if I'm trying to criticize it, and I realize, oh, this is really nice that I can use elsewhere.
Hmm.
So a lot of the poems that I have put forth, like out in on my Instagram page, uh, they were prompts, and I had used them as poetry, and then there was some thought in the poetry that made me write more poetry. is that sort of expansion. It's sort of like a flow that you kind
Wow.
of get through. It does make you productive.
So does the Instagram game make you anxious? Like the fact, like you said, like you had 8 months of writer's block. So does it?
Yeah, and anxiety with writing, I think it's a constant for someone who writes,
Hmm.
because we often compare ourselves with others. We often compare the content, the sort of style,
Hmm.
and there are some people who manage to write every single day throughout the year, and it baffles me. And write good, and it just baffles me. It's like, how the hell do you do it?
And do you have, like, do you, in your mind, since the time you started writing, or now as you're finding, you found your style, but as you're finding it more deeply and nicely, uh, do you like restrict yourself to certain topics, and maybe like do you want to be the voice of a few topics particularly? Um, if yes, then what?
Uh, I think as writers, we constantly are finding our style. There is no fixed style.
Hmm.
And obviously there are no fixed topics. There are some topics that you're more comfortable with,
Hmm.
and some topics that you go out of your comfort zone for. And for me personally, I'm very fond of writing the horror genre or something with like a very macabre twist.
Hmm.
And on the other hand, I like to also write like confessional poetry.
Hmm.
So if you've heard me perform uh, on open mics, it's mostly that, the passionate, just like
Yes.
anger-filled poetry about love and betrayal and everything. So what I'm planning on performing are two pieces. The first one is a poem called Submerged, and I wrote it for a prompt on April National Poetry Writing Month. And I wrote it in Kerala, and I sort of missed this whole Mumbai atmosphere. I wrote that sort of, in reminiscence of this hometown. And the other one I wrote, I was like in a trance. I was thinking about some really weird shit, and so you can see that the poem is really weird. So the first one is called Submerged, and the second one is called Primeval Visions in Slumber.
Okay.
So I'll start with Submerged. It's April now. Time has flown past me, carrying the carcass of hope, paper leaves in the gust. Sun rays that once filtered through the cracks to perch lightly on my nose now settle uncomfortably on the cigarette ash that falls rhythmically on shy clothes. This warm midsummer longing has always been a prelude to the dreamy monsoon affair of fresh love and a whiskey mood. My curled toes and cold shoulders have made a rather temporary home of the routine turbulent bar, in a serving of straight liquor and a side of being alone. Oh, how it rains in this part of town. A downpour of discreet summer trades engulfs this humid harbor city as hurried hearts huddle under tarpaulin shells. I've had but the ghost of a delicate rest. In the grasp of my grip, a static remnant of network failure, omnipresent yet adrift. So I wait for the city to ring again, in thunders, outages, and silent feuds. And when the deluge finally drowns out all the neon lights, I'll be submerged at last in fresh love and a whiskey bowl. That's it.
You made the rain sound so much better than what they actually are in Bombay.
I miss the rain, man. It was so hot when I wrote this piece.
You did?
Yeah.
It was a shit show here when it rained. Yeah. But I loved your piece.
So this next one is called Primeval Visions in Slumber. I wrote it when I was half asleep, half dreaming. I don't know, or something. And primeval means like really ancient, before recorded history is what you consider primeval. I'll just start. In the deep slumber, I've known you to have faiths of queer kinds, in fairies and ghosts, in hearts and hopes, in all sorts of alone. Have you dreamt of those lofty stones that rise from bottomless pits and stand tall before your dulcet eyes, both enamored and out of fits? Have you fallen to your knees already? It rises still in steady pace. Until it should touch the heavens, it would not grow tired of worship or human praise. Is it chaos, or is it a drowning man's grace? The tumultuous seas give rise to evil waves tonight. Pray they wash over you and cleanse you memory wise. Only flint and steel to kindle the Lima light. From fire it has risen, and to fire it will return. In ashes and soup shall skin sizzle and burn. And in deep slumber you shall remember all dreams are but reality in embers. That's
Okay, tell me, I'm very, very interested. Tell me the thought process behind the second one.
again the second one.
Mhm.
So like I said, I was half dreamy, and I scribbled I scribbled this down in my notebook, and it was like illegible. I could not read it. But the thought process was basically uh, about dreams. So this is about dreaming, about the concept of dreaming. And throughout this poem, there's a it, like it rises in steady pace, and it, so like, is it chaos or is it a drowning? It's crazy. To be fair, I don't know what it is. It just came to me. This is that sort of poem that comes to you. So it just came to me. I have no idea what. So this is more of a, you can call it this sort of like a meditative tone where uh, I'm just thinking on my own, and it does not concern the outside world at all. So there is no, like, if you look at the first one, it concerns about like it talks about the whole city and
Yes.
how I wish for the city, how I long for the city. This has no this is it's not set in real life. That's the fun part of I that's what I liked about this. It's not set in real life. It's like set in dreams.
What motivates you to write and just to keep going?
There is no one answer to this. Right? The most I think the most obvious answer would be because I want to see something I write in its true physical form. And until I see it on paper or I see it on a text, uh, I'm not generally very satisfied with myself. I'm like, what am I doing? Is this really the time to play video games? You should have been writing something. And I think that motivates me to write. And the other thing is that I want to see myself being being someone who's published. And I'm actually thinking of doing something with all this poetry that I've written, because there's a lot of it that I wrote.
You're
So
publishing?
if I can, I'm not publishing anytime soon at least, but I'm thinking of doing something with it, just sending it somewhere so that it does something for my own good. Yeah. So I want to see myself published. That's the thing. So like an anthology, anything works, and just like I see me out there, it feels nice.